Okay, doing some more dad stuff today. Today it is an oil change on a 2021 Toyota Tundra. And I think this is probably going to be the quickest, cleanest oil change you'll ever see for one of these cars, or trucks, for a couple reasons. One being, I installed what's called a Fomoto valve. And a Fomoto valve replaces your standard drain plug. This is the Fomoto valve. It's got a little lever here. When you push the lever forward, the oil will just drain out of there into the bucket I have. You don't get the big mess that you usually get when you remove a drain plug and it splashes all over your hands. The other reason I say it's such a clean, quick oil change process is because of these additional parts I have over here. One being this funnel. Sorry about that. This funnel screws right into where your oil cap goes. Makes it really easy to fill the oil. And this screws into the oil filter housing so that you can drain the oil easily and just direct this hose into your bucket or your cup. And this bucket and this cup are what I use to drain into. Then of course I've got my oil here, my new filter, some wrenches, paper towels. This takes about 8 quarts. And to be honest with you, I want this thing to last as long as possible. So instead of changing the oil every 10,000 miles, I change it every 5. But I do the filter every 10.
Boring.
So filter gets done every other oil change. I'm going to get set up, start doing this. Okay, I'm going to try to set this camera up so you can see what I'm doing. I don't have to hold it. So, right here is the valve. I've got my bucket down here. I'm actually going to start like this so I can just put the bucket down and know where it's going. Okay. There, it's draining that. I'm gonna get over and work on the other one. Okay. Let's go over here. I popped this open so that the engine can breathe and the oil can flow out a little quicker. And this part is a little more difficult. I never take this shielding off when I do this. Right here, this piece has to come off first. This is the housing. And this is the piece that screws into it, so that hose I just have come through this opening down into my cup. Let's see if I can get this out by hand. Probably not. I think I need to go get a wrench to take that out. Be right back. I'm back. I've got my 3/8 wrench here. May or may not be able to do this one-handed. We will see. It's moving for me. Okay. See, that's almost finished already. Let's see if I can pull this the rest of the way off. Yep. Yeah, I'll screw this piece in. Okay, that's pretty snug. And you advance this in order to open it. Start straining. So that's draining right in there. Let that go for a little bit. I'll be able to close that in just a minute. Okay. As soon as these are done draining, I'll be back. So, these are pretty much done. I took a couple minutes break because the wife got home. So those are done. Let's see if I can show you how to put this funnel on. Just unscrew this. Of course, I'm not strong enough. There we go. And this literally just screws in here. It makes it super easy. Okay. Now I'll go down here. Close this valve. You can see it's still dripping a little bit, but I could leave that for probably an hour and it would still just keep dripping. So I'm going to close the valve. There we go. Put this red cap back on it. Oh, red cap is gone. Red cap's not going back on it. Okay. This is finished. So I have to back this nut down again so that it closes. Unscrew the whole thing. Pull it out through that hole, just like that. Okay, be right back. I'm gonna clean this up. Okay, now I'm gonna take that whole housing off. Depending on how tight I made it before, might be able to pull it out with just my hand, but more than likely I'll need a wrench. Yep, gonna need a wrench. This is the wrench. Okay, nice and loose. Okay. Take this to the back of the truck. We've got our parts here. Old filter going in the trash. There's an O-ring down here that gets replaced. Old O-ring. There's an O-ring on here that gets replaced. I may need a small screwdriver to get this off. Can't usually do it with just my fingers. Right back. Okay, small screwdriver. O-ring coming off. Old O-ring goes in the trash. Then I take some paper towels and clean up the housing. Old oil off of it, as much as I can at least. Okay. Now we'll put the new O-rings on there. And they all come, all the O-rings and everything you need comes in this packaging. I don't always use a Mobile One filter, but this time I am. Just happened to be on sale. This is the plastic version of what I use to drain the oil out of the oil filter housing, but I like the metal one I have. Nice, clean new filter. And here are the O-rings. So you always want to make sure you put some fresh oil on the O-rings so that they don't get stuck on there. So I'll usually just dip my finger in the oil. Coat them. This one goes right on the bottom there, and this piece goes on top. And this one you also have to coat. And then there's a wider groove. If you look at these, that first wide groove is where the O-ring goes. Okay, it's seated on there all the way. Take the oil filter, put it on here. Okay, it's good. Now we'll go screw this back in. I'd actually clean it off one more time. It still looks kind of gooey. You know what? Before we put it in, I do like to pour some oil right in here, just so it's at least partially full and the engine doesn't run on no oil for a little bit of time. See if I can do this without a funnel. Look at that. I'm sure you're all very impressed. I sure as hell am. Like, damn. Okay. Let's go back over here. Okay, let's see if I can do this one one-handed. Just place it in here. See if you can see it. You get it up into the spot it goes in. Just screw it on. And you usually just want these hand tight. Every time I let a dealer or someplace service these. It's like they use the strength of Thor to put it on here. There are specific torque specs, but like I said, I like hand tight. Okay, that's good. Time to put some oil in. Got my funnel in. Dipstick's still open. That's okay. So, the manual says, I think it's like 8.1 quarts. And if you look at this, that's almost 7 quarts. It might actually be exactly 7 quarts that drained out of the oil pan. This came from the filter housing, and that's just over 1 quart. So it probably is close to 8.1. But I like looking at this so I know exactly how much I took out and how much I should put back in. So, let's see if I can do this. Oil going in. You notice the dog might be barking, but she's behind that fence. Fence is working pretty well. Almost have 5 quarts in. There we go. Let's grab the other one. I should have unscrewed this, but I didn't. I'm really good at prepping for these videos. Luckily, you guys get to see boring stuff like this. Me not being able to take tops off. I do not have a sharp thumb. Okay, so we put 5 in already. We need 3 more. And that is, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We've put 1 in. 2 more. Almost. Okay. That should be 8, or at least really close to it. I'm gonna close this up. Actually, before I do that, let's do it this way. Stand you guys right here. Dipsticks down here. Clean it off with my really clean paper towel there. Put the dipstick back. Push it all the way down. See if I can show you guys where it's at. So that, if you look really close, man, it's hard to focus on it. That shows almost exactly full, and I like it a little below. Once I run the truck for a little bit, it'll probably show below. You can kind of see right here is the top marker. So I'm going to take care of this. Be right back. Okay, got it down off the ramps. I haven't rechecked the oil yet. I let it run. See my dipsticks right here. Got my cap back on, nice and snug. Let's get another paper towel. Got it clean. Clean paper towel. Let's check that oil level. The manual says you should let the engine warm up, turn it off, let it sit for 5 minutes before you do this. I was probably close to 5 minutes. Took some time to clean things. Okay. Pull the dipstick out. Wipe it down once. Put it back in. Let's check the level. Ooh, I am low. I don't know if you can see that. It's just barely to the first dot. So it should be right in between here, but it's down at this first dot. Usually from dot to dot is about a quart. So maybe I'll put a half a quart in and try again. Okay. I'm gonna throw this funnel back on it. If you look at these lines, I have about 3 quarts in there. That was maybe a quarter. Okay, that looks like a half. Let's try this again. Pull the dipstick one more time before I let it warm up. I don't know if you can see that, but that's exactly where I like it. So it's like right about here, maybe 3/4 of the way between that dot and that dot. The manual just says it should be between the two. Okay, I'm gonna let it warm up one more time before I call this finished. Be back in 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Let's take one more look here. Dipsticks out. Clean it up. All right, crossing my fingers. Yeah, that's exactly where I like it. Let's see if I can show you here. So it's about right there. So 3/4 of the way up between the two lines. Nice and clean. That's it. Oil change is finished. Dipstick's back in. Oil cap's back on. Other fluids look okay. Washer fluid. Coolant down there looks good. This was definitely the cleanest oil change on YouTube. Oh, you know, except for like, that's a new spot. Those are new spots. Those are 2 new spots right there. There's a whole bunch right there. And one giant one right there because I'm just a klutz. Yep. That's what happens.